Hello there and welcome to my reaction to Guilty Gear Lore. Heaven or Hell, Duel 2, Events of GGX. I don't know what some of those words mean. I don't know what heaven or hell is. Like, is that just the way Wooly does his titles? Because 7 videos go from Duel 1 to Duel 7. But every video goes about different events of games, like GGX. Is it Heaven of Hell, Duel, and then or is it like lore combined into Heaven or Hell, and then it ends and Strife begins, and Strife has a different name for like their overall lore, like a new season, if you will. Yeah, I don't know. Are there answers to those questions? I hope so. Anyway, like and subscribe, become a member. Let's begin. I want more lore.
Hello and welcome back to Guilty Gear Lore, Heaven or Hell. I've received a tremendous amount of helpful feedback on episode 1, and I want to thank everyone who reached out.
Why are you so loud, Wooly?
About the world of Guilty Gear is real. Thanks to those of you that sent in
It's
corrections
real?
as well. Keep your eye on the description below, where we'll be listing extra notes pertaining to each episode from now on. Thanks again to Arc System Works for sponsoring the video and verifying every detail. And remember, the latest chapter of this story is coming soon, with Guilty Gear Strive arriving in April 2021.
I wonder if this is gonna be.
Without further ado, let's keep this thing moving.
If the video gonna say when I should look at the notes, like an asterisk or something.
Get ready to rock.
Guilty Gear X by your side.
The year 2180. Justice is defeated. Many of
Finally.
the remaining gears, now leaderless, have become dormant. Others are hunted down and eliminated. Mankind was finally free from the catastrophic menace brought on by the gears. Before Soul destroys Justice, Kai Kisk confronts her about her evil ways. With a simple rebuttal, Justice explains that she was made by man to kill man, and thus she is merely fulfilling her moral purpose while surviving.
I
From the
guess.
perspective of a gear, her actions are utterly unclouded. They're all those of justice. Unable to respond,
Yeah, that makes
Kai's
sense.
rigid sense of righteousness fails him for the first time.
Cliff.
The idea that perhaps there was no single truth that governed everything would leave him questioning his convictions even many years later.
Okay. Very dramatic.
2180 AD. Cliff Underson dies during
No.
the Second Holy Order tournament. Valiant to the end, Cliff's final return to battle shows his mastery of Ki at such a degree that it could temporarily de-age his body, allowing him to fight in his prime. His death is mourned by those closest to him.
Oh. But who killed him?
A Japanese
Yeah.
man named Kuro Kuruwaba works as a branch chief for the Post-War Administration Bureau.
Okay, it looks like Marilyn Manson.
Operating in the shadows, the organization has been gathering deep intel on everyone and everything it can. Using combat data from Kai Kisk, Crow creates an imitation series soldier unit
Robo-Kai.
known as Robo-Kai.
That's where he comes from.
The Zessen outrage component goes missing. The Zessen wind fans, a relic of the Crusades, had been
Does Anji
located
have 'em?
inside of a Japanese colony until their recent disappearance at the hands of Anji Mito, a now
Yeah.
missing Japanese colonist. He appears to be only motivated by sheer curiosity and wanderlust. After the Crusades, a group of surviving gears that were able to exist independently of justice secretly gather away from human eyes.
This feels like
They
Warcraft
isolate
with
themselves
undead.
on an island known as the Ganymede Archipelago.
For people who don't know, in Warcraft 3, I think, there's a Lich King who can kill people and can bring them as undead. It kind of feels like that, where Justice is the Lich King, where she can control the undead, but there are some people who aren't under his control, and at some point there are more people who aren't under his control because he gets weaker at some point. And he loses touch, and they build like their own society of the undead, and they live there. Kind of going through the events of Warcraft 3, but it's a lot.
Uninterested in humanity, but entirely interested in
It's kind of
research,
very similar to
the leader
that.
of this group manages to access and observe an alternate world parallel to our own. It will come to be known as the backyard.
Okay.
2181 AD, the Placard Company incident. Near London, in the village built atop the Hydra, rumors of gear-related homicides
Hydra
attracted both Kai Kisk
Dormant,
and Soul Bad Guy
dead.
to investigate.
I remember.
With help from a peculiar village doctor named Faust, Kai uncovers a conspiracy involving the Placard Corporation, a pharmaceutical company experimenting on villagers with a drug called Vitae. Company president Sebas pushes Vitae as a miracle-curing elixir, but its misleading healing properties are due to people actually being dosed with extracted gear cells that destroy the body. Soul's investigation is interrupted by an enigmatic watcher. The resurrected immortal knight from 1,000 years prior, now known as Raven, appears before him.
So the Slayer.
Bored of life and
this is the guy that was in the Roman Crusade, right? And he went into the cave where he kind of died but didn't, became immortal, woke up in the pool of his own blood and stuff.
Obsessed with pain, Raven's current mission is to retrieve gear resonance data and return it to his master, the Gear Maker, also known as That Man. After immediately being incinerated by Soul's tyrant Rave, Raven's body rejuvenates and he expresses disappointment at not feeling any warmth. He then ambushes Faust, retrieves the data, and takes his leave. Sebas' true aim is exposed as an attempt to create his own command class gear for military purposes. Using a pair of test subject sisters as a catalyst, he resurrects the Hydra, which destroys the village.
Yeah, I remember.
With recruited help from Johnny and the Jellyfish Pirates, however, most villagers are evacuated aboard the May ship.
The graphics,
Kai, Soul,
like the art
Faust
style, looks like Shaman King.
Threat and use a last resort.
I wonder if it's the same company that animated them. Like
Hydra.
the old Shaman King.
Cornered, Sebas overdoses on Vitae and becomes a gear, but he is quickly destroyed by Kai.
Well, fuck
the
him, I guess.
Of the golden discs, Johnny and May. When an ancient site of old world ruins is uncovered, many opportunists and hustlers flock to it, including Johnny and May, hopeful to get rich on treasures from the pre-Crusade world. They accidentally cross paths with Kai Kisk and his fellow IPF officers, however, on-site confiscating black technology. Kai thanks Johnny and May for their help during the Placard incident, but cannot allow them to go as criminal pirates at large. A fight ensues, causing part of the ruins to crumble and reveal an ancient golden data disk. The disk activates a hologram explaining its purpose. A full record of old-world technology, culture, and scientific world knowledge created in 2014. In the stunned commotion, Johnny performs a mist-finder, cleaving the disc in two, and makes a break for it with May and one half of the disc as the rubble comes down. The Jellyfish Pirates
did they have to draw it draw May with underboob? Was that the necessary art style?
The Jellyfish Pirates later get a lead on the location of another full disc, but end up baited into a trap set by the Assassin Syndicate and Zato 1's loyal and infatuated subordinate, a man known as Venom. His attempt to steal the disc fails to the full power of the pirates, however.
Is there Spider-Man too?
Johnny, now understanding the danger of the disc, slices it into unrecognizable pieces, giving a shard to each Jellyfish Pirate as a pendant.
Oh.
Kai and Potemkin. Meanwhile, Kai
An
is en route to turn over his half-disc to HQ. After a brief encounter with Chip Zanoff, Zep airships surround Kai, threatening military action if the relic is not surrendered. He feigns compliance by handing it over, but then sneaks aboard the ship. He is soon caught by Potemkin, who respectfully greets Kai, politely asking that he withdraw. The two discuss the nature of bearing the responsibility of protecting man from itself, but ultimately come to an impasse and choose battle.
It is what it is. So that's the precursor to his suit, I guess.
barely triumphs, using his Ride the Lightning technique, staggering Potemkin long enough to grab the relic and flee. But Potemkin and the Zepp soldiers give chase. Kai, cornered, points out the dangers of history repeating itself and calls attention to the empty crater they're flying above, an area destroyed by black tech where no life will grow for another century. Potemkin calls it a sin of
Blood
the
ocean?
past, but cannot concede.
That Iron
His
Lung.
letting him go will result in the IPF simply using the disc to obtain power for themselves. Kai swears to prevent this, even if it costs him his life, which elicits heavy laughter from Potemkin. An IPF rescue ship suddenly closes in, and Kai is able to escape. As they speed away, Kai requests permission from HQ to destroy the disc, but they deny, ordering him to return with it at once. Thinking of Potemkin's words, Kai hesitates. The ship is then attacked and forced to land.
Oh.
Waiting for Kai in the middle of the crater is Soul Bad Guy. Soul and Axel Lowe.
Ooh.
During this conflict, Soul had been drinking
This
in a
I'm
bar
interested about.
when Axel Lowe crashed in with cops on his tail. A bar fight starts, which Soul Bad Guy ends with fire.
Of course he
Axel
does.
explains that he was overheard uttering E equals MC squared, a phrase that only people exposed to black tech would know. Soul, concerned
really?
about this dangerous development, tracks down the disc to a restaurant where it was pawned
But
off.
isn't the physical term? It's the energy. MC square and energy equals mass multiplied by acceleration square. Is that what that is? Doesn't matter. It's still connected to tech.
Off as a decoration to a lively waitress named
They need-
Jam
We
Cradbury.
need the new magic.
She helps fight off
Einstein.
the final group of Axel's pursuers.
And M's replaced with magic, maybe.
Soul activates the disc and operates it to reveal the locations of any functional backup copies. It points him to one partial copy, held by Kai Kisk. Soul and Kai face off in the crater.
Can the disc even work in this state? It's a
Soul
half.
gets the upper hand, but before anything can be settled, an IPF captain with reinforcements arrives, wielding black tech firearms. Soul is gunned down by bullets. Kai is shocked to see his superior already using the forbidden technology, and realizes Potemkin was right. They can't be trusted. The captain notes Kai's refusal to
do
play
be like
along
that with the
and takes
government.
aim at him as well, but he's interrupted.
Rules for thee, but not.
Soul activates
For
his
me.
Dragon Install, an ability allowing him to surge with power from his inner gear beast form. Soul melts through the soldiers, but Kai stops him from killing them and takes them into custody. With a clear understanding, they each destroy their own golden discs entirely.
I thought Dragon Install is Kai's special ability. I didn't know that was called Dragon
Testament
Install as
and
well.
the Maiden of the Grove. Through unclear means, Testament survives the end of the Second Holy Order tournament. Though he finds himself free from Justice mind control, he remains a slave of the weight of his sins. He finds his way to the grave of his father, Cliff.
I was thinking
While
it,
reminiscing,
Testament was
He
Cliff's
meets a
son
priest and a young orphan girl
before
named
gearing
Josephine.
up.
She is blind, but hopeful, as she has recently become a patient of Dr. Faust. Without warning, Venom ambushes and takes Josephine hostage, his terms demanding Faust to
What a
join the
dick.
Assassin's Syndicate. Testament fights and saves her, fleeing deep into the nearby grove, known as Hell's Forest. There,
Lovely name.
Josephine introduces Testament to Dizzy. Innocent and pacifist, Dizzy was found and
Kai's
raised
future
by
wife.
an old couple in Josephine's village, unaware of her true identity. Command class gear and daughter of justice. When she grew to adulthood in 3 years, with wings and a tail, the village grew fearful of her, forcing the old couple to abandon her alone in the grove. Her only friend was Josephine, who cannot see, but believes Dizzy
She
to
didn't
be
give a
an
shit.
angel after touching one of her wings.
The one
Venom
was
attacks
white, as one
again,
is darker.
causing Dizzy's shape-shifting wings to awaken. With personalities of their own, Necro, the Blackwing, and Undyne, the Whitewing,
Yeah.
will attack to defend Dizzy,
I thought those were the
whether
wings.
she
There
wills
was
it or not.
a shot before.
Venom gets struck while aiming at Testament and accidentally hits Josephine. Venom retreats,
You
and
bastard.
they turn their attention towards getting her to a doctor immediately.
How dare he?
Faust heals not only Josephine's wounds, but her sight as well. But
Damn.
seeing Dizzy's body for the first time, she becomes confused. The priest and the villagers, however, upon learning that Dizzy has returned, set fire to the area, yelling, "Burn the demon." Dizzy
Fucking-
begins to panic and cower as her
Fucking
wings lose
fanatics.
control and the mob closes in. Testament, feeling a deep connection with Dizzy's pain, steps in between her and the villagers and uses his 7th sign attack, non-lethally, with just enough power to stop Necro, Undyne.
That's a big thing,
The
non-lethally.
Milia Rage convinces Venom.
Okay, before we go. Did anything happen? Light is now on the base core elements of magic, but light magic... I don't think that was it. Anyway,
To
yeah.
help save some villagers from the fire. Dizzy approaches Josephine, but gets slapped. Angry and fearful, Josephine calls Dizzy a demon and tells her to go back to the forest,
Oh, I liked you
The
more when you were
villagers join in,
blind.
chasing them out.
I wish Venom killed you
Testament
when you were a
swears to
good
Cliff
person.
in this moment.
You live good... You die a good person, or you live long enough to become a villain.
That he will choose to continue
Again.
living to protect Dizzy as his sole purpose.
Okay.
Guilty Gear X.
I wonder if Dizzy at 3 now is smarter than... not Kai. Sin at 5. That he is on in Strife.
Side.
Oh, was Johnny playable? I think I saw Biken in there.
Within a matter of days,
Sick intro.
word spreads far and wide about the mysterious humanoid gear living in Hell's Forest, somehow still functional in a world without justice. As information spread, so did panic. A report stated, "This gear is functioning properly, even though its activities should be inhibited by its lack of leadership. There are no signs of abnormalities or physical damage. It is also noted that no civilians have been harmed either intentionally or accidentally."
I'm trying to pay attention to a thing. Gears needed justice to be able to move around, right? Except for the ones that had that city there. But there's probably a reason for that. Soul can move around because he was made before Justice's existence. So he's the prototype. So he doesn't need any kind of leadership. Testament was made by... Was it by Zep? By someone who wasn't... with a different type of technology. So they are not the same type of gear as someone who would work specifically under Justice and only under Justice would be. Dizzy was born from a gear, but wasn't created as a gear. So she's a part gear, right? So that makes it different. Who's the daddy? Is Soul Dizzy's father? I don't know.
We've made several
Maybe I'll be
attempts to
told.
eliminate the gear, but due to its tremendous combat abilities, we've been unsuccessful.
It's just been a while
The number of
between,
casualties has yet to be
I
confirmed.
think, Saul
We're
and
currently keeping the gear under surveillance.
Arya would have
The
been
gear exerting
fucking...
its own will without justice terrified mankind at the possibility of the emergence of a second command class gear. Furthermore, rumors were spreading that nations were still somehow intent. Furthermore, rumors were spreading that nations were still
Teeth
somehow
moved like the
intent
fingers on the
possessing
guitar.
military purposed gears.
It's like they were playing, oh,
People were having none of it,
Judy was
however,
thrown.
and took a stand. With the coming of an anti-gear movement, an announcement was made. Whoever brings about the demise of this dreadful gear shall be rewarded with the lofty sum of 500,000 world dollars.
I mean, I guess that's a lot.
Described as an impossible being and the strongest gear on Earth, descended from man and demon. The power to rend the earth, burn the heavens, and destroy mankind. The powers that be seek her strength, but all she longs for is contact. Bounty hunters from around the globe begin
Let's
to
wait until
congregate in the
Kai
forest she
finds her.
calls home. A number of familiar faces from the second Holy Order tournament cross paths in search of the bounty. Some, like Potemkin, are sent in officially on secret orders to escort the target back to Zep.
I wonder if I can tell anything. So yes, Sol and Kai are obvious, not just because they selected, but by the look. I think that's Potemkin, Angie, Milia? I forgot her name. Is that Baikin, Chip, Venom, Zato, Axel, that girl from before? If that's her, is that Dizzy then? May, Faust, Taste Testament, Johnny, and Dizzy, maybe? Who had the bow like this? Okay,
Cross paths.
sorry.
In search
I'm
of
just
the bounty.
curious.
Some,
I'm
like
trying to
Potemkin,
memorize
are
something.
sent in officially on secret orders to escort the target back to Zep. Others, like Kai Kisk, choose to intervene not on behalf of the IPF, but as a civilian bounty hunter. Or Angie Mita, who simply wants to learn more about the world.
Oh, maybe there's
Each
Johnny.
intends to resolve the situation in their own way. But no matter who approaches Hell's Forest, Testament stands ready to greet them. None are allowed to trespass on her holy ground.
It is Dizzy, okay, with the things.
Gears must die. Dizzy once expressed to
Some
Faust
difficulty
she
like
regretted
Dante must
being
die?
born to cause suffering. Faust later comes across Soul Bad Guy and asks if he intends to save Dizzy by ending her life. Soul simply replies, "Gears must die." Faust then asks Soul whether his statement is directed at her or perhaps...
Himself.
Soul eventually makes his way through Hell's Forest to Testament, through Testament, and then to Dizzy.
Okay.
She asks him if a
That was
gear's
fast.
life has any value. He replies that gears are weapons, and so are their hearts. Necro and Undyne awaken and attack Soul, ever protective of their host. As they fight, Necro charges a gamma ray, which Soul immediately recognizes as the same kind of power he faced when fighting Justice.
Yeah. But maybe from outrage.
Soul defeats Dizzy, and she asks him to finish her off before she hurts anyone else. Before landing the fatal blow, however, he hesitates. In that moment, Kai steps between them. He expresses that he felt conflicted since the defeat of Justice, but now he is certain. Not all gears are truly evil. Soul accepts Kai's resolve and leaves him to decide. As Soul leaves, Kai is shocked that Soul acknowledged him by his name. Life beyond the grove. Kai tells Dizzy that he believes there's a place in the world beyond that grove that can accept her for who she is. Dizzy is still fearful, recalling the way villagers treated her, but decides to trust Kai.
It's gonna be
She
just
asks if he
Illyria
can
or
teach her
something
what it
special.
means to live as a human, and he accepts. Testament, whose Soul also did not kill, is distrustful of humans, but accepts Dizzy's choice to leave the grove. He chooses to remain, to ensure that she can live life off the grid, away from those that would hunt her down.
Oh.
Kai entrusts her to join the Jellyfish Pirates
Should
aboard
them.
the May ship. Notably, the crew, which is named for each month they joined, finally gets its final member.
December?
Jam Cry
Wait.
they joined finally gets its final member.
It's just what they are. I guess this DZ for D. May, June, July, August, Taffy, Octi, Novel, Dizzy. And Leap. He's like a leap year. It's not fair.
Jam Cradberry, who witnessed the conclusion of these events while hiding, then went on to claim the bounty for Dizzy's defeat. and used the money to open up her own Chinese restaurant.
Huh?
For inexplicable reasons,
Okay.
it burns down shortly after,
Oh, for
leaving her
fuck's
in
sake.
debt for repairs.
In debt? Was $500,000 not enough?
The Assassin Syndicate.
Why did she go to
Shortly after
casino
the
as
events
well?
of Hell's Forest, Zato 1 is killed by Milia Rage. Her
Oh.
complicated feelings of simultaneous admiration and hatred lead her to decide that she needs closure through vengeance. Venom, who would give his own life to save Zato 1, is unable to do so. When Milia finds and kills Zato, she is left feeling hollow inside, unaware that the forbidden beast Eddie was now fully in control of the dead body. With Zato dead,
I know Eddie's
Venom
gonna be
becomes
wholesome.
the highest-ranking
Can't
member
wait.
of the Syndicate.
Alright, so Venom is in charge now.
The leader of the
Yonder.
isolated independent-type gear colony in the Ganymede Archipelago continues his research. Known as Dr. Paradigm, his ability to absorb information
Oh.
and understand world logic.
That's who Dr. Paradigm is. In the Strive, another story, Faust sends Sin to Paradigm to get some dragons to help with the big door.
Is almost unparalleled. After
Sounds
his successful
insane.
contact with the mysterious
Anyway.
reality known as the Backyard, he discovers an isolated structure within it called the Cube.
The cube, I think, was in
While
the
it isn't
14 minutes
clear
thing.
At this point, what it is or
14
how
minute
it
lore.
works, it appears to have been built by that man.
I mean,
Elsewhere, a servant
who
of
else
that
is
man
gonna do it?
finishes a report on the incident in Hell's Forest. That man, now covered in robes, remarks to himself that it is interesting that there was a daughter, and assigns his servant to monitor her.
It is interesting.
He then thinks aloud.
Did she
that
become
this
a
has
gear when she
truly
was pregnant?
created Yet another reason to be killed by him.
Sol didn't seem like a fatherly figure when he met her. Oh, is this it? I thought it was still part of the thing. Wait, was there anything? Oh, it's about episode 1. I should have read above. So light is not one of the basic core elements of magic, but light magic is in the subcategory. Gear lifespans are longer than humans. That's kind of obvious. And gear cells continue to live even if the gear itself dies. Oh. I guess that's how the guy, this snake oil salesman guy in this episode was able to get some gear cells. He can just get them from the dead gears. Cliff fought the Hydra for 3 days and 3 nights. Johnny does not have a known last name. It's John Guilty Gear, obviously. Justice discovers Saul is a gear for the first time during the second Holy Order tournament. So not when they fight the first time, it's only after that. I really don't... This doesn't clear up much for me because I watched that video only once and that was about it. But it's still nice to do for other people. I'm not gonna take that much interest in the description thingies. I will read them if I remember. But for now, that is it. Anyway, and this is it for the second part of the lore. Thank you everybody who watched this. I appreciate it a lot. I hope to see you next time, and goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.